Hi, good morning, or good afternoon. I wanted to make a quick little video about fermenting and how to create your fermentation starter. I have recently fermented garlic, and I'll explain how to do that here in a moment, but one of the ingredients is my fermentation starter, my culture, my bacteria, the little guys that do all the work. So the way I create it is you need three ingredients. You need your pick preferred fruit. Berry is the best. So blueberry and blackberry work, I think, the best. You could do frozen. You need some water, and you need organic cane sugar. No beet sugar, but you do need an actual sugar. The end product does not contain the sugar. The sugar is for the bacteria to feed off of and grow and create, all the bubbles and everything. So you start out, and I've already pre-mixed it. I wasn't recording the first time. So you start out with, if you were to divide this jar into, it's a quart jar. If you were to divide this quart jar into 4 sections, you would put 1/4 of a jar of your berries. And I used frozen blackberries. They're my favorite. Whatever you ferment will not taste like blackberries. It's just a good, neutral, effective fruit to use. And then I added 1 tablespoon of sugar, and I filled water up to 1/3 of the jar in. So 1/4 jar berries, 1 tablespoon sugar, 1/3 of the jar of water. Key thing on water, no tap water. Portland has good water. It's not good enough. They do add some stuff to it. You need to use spring water, you can buy it at the store. This will ensure that there's no chemicals in it that will kill your good bacteria. Put the things in. I don't know where my wooden spoon is, but I stirred it with a little wooden spoon. When you're dealing with the fermentation starter and as you're handling it, mixing things, always use plastic or wooden spoon. Metal may react to it depending on what it is. And that's the same thing for, kombucha or whatever. So I've created my mixture. I will set this on the counter, and I will put it in a dark little nook that I have over here, and this takes 3 days. Each day I have to add sugar and water. So day 1, I made my mixture. Day 2, I will add another tablespoon of sugar, and I will fill 1/3 more of the water in there. Now mix it up, close it. Oh, fingertip tight, no elbows, just fingertip. What that means is you're going like this. You're not like cranking it. You don't want that. And then on day 3, I do the same thing. And by day 4, it should sizzle. If it's not sizzling yet, maybe your house is cooler or something, let it sit for another day. And you'll know it's ready because it will talk to you. You can hear it. You can smell it, and you'll just know. I mean, you'll see the bubbles, it will sizzle when it's closed, and it sounds like the ocean. Pretty neat. So the end product, you can keep this on the counter if you use it weekly. If you don't use it every week, you would want to keep it in the refrigerator. Feed it once a week with a tablespoon of sugar. You just add it in to feed the bacteria. When you add it in, you pull it out of the refrigerator, set it back on the counter, let it sit for 3 days, put it back in the fridge. A week later, feed it again a tablespoon of sugar, let it sit on the counter for 3 days, and put it back in. However, if you're using it every week, then you can just keep it on the counter if you're fermenting something new all the time. And after you've used some of the liquid, you replenish the liquid and put a tablespoon of sugar in. To ferment something, I usually do it in quart-sized jars. You put in your vegetables or fruit, whatever you want, herbs. You add in your flavorings, salt, make sure it's iodine free, plain old, So, you want to make sure it's just salt. And then you add in, for every quart jar, you add 1/4 cup of your fermentation starter liquid. Leave the berries in there. If 1 or 2 fall out, you'll be fine. You'll use that. For the smaller jar of garlic, I put 1/8 cup of my starter, filled it with water, added a pinch of salt, threw my garlic in there, closed it up, set it on the counter. 3 days later, it's done. For bigger jars, also 3 days, but you use 1/4 instead of 1/8. for something of this size. And what's amazing with fermented foods, you can store them on the counter, you can store them in the fridge. They'll last months in the fridge. They make the best pickles, makes the best jalapenos. I love fermented carrots. There's just so much you can do with it. You can make homemade sodas. You can have multiple jars going of your starter if you use it a lot. And every time you use some of it, you replenish the water. So if I used a 1/4 cup, put a 1/4 cup back in, add a tablespoon of sugar, close it fingertip tight, set it on the counter. 3 days later, put it back in the fridge. And that's it. So if you have questions, just comment or direct message me. If I don't respond right away on Facebook, I apologize. I will be in my studio painting, and I will do my best to catch up on all of the questions later tonight. So, mwah!